Disclaimer. This podcast showcases business partners and friends that engage in lively conversations about books over many drinks. Content may not be suitable for viewers under 21.
And Kev, is the camera recording? Did you start it fresh? Okay. All right, guys. Ready? Yeah. Oh, you're so pretty. You want the top hair. Get your hair did. Okay. Gorgeous. All right. Okay. Hi, guys.
Hello. Good to see you guys again.
Welcome back. Our second episode, digging into your next 5 moves.
Yeah.
Right?
By Patrick Bet-David.
So good.
Yeah.
And we are enjoying Siesta Key spiced rum.
Yeah. So good again, too.
Our first taste of it last week. Right? So good.
So good. It's so hard. Like, as you can see, we tried to keep the level on the bottle.
So we're just doing little, because we got to make through a few more episodes.
We need to make through a few more episodes. So we are pacing ourselves, guys, but it's hard.
It's good.
It is hard.
Really good.
Yeah.
By the way, I am Kristen.
And I'm Leilani.
And thank you for joining our Books and Booze podcast. Sometimes we drink a little too much before we start. We pregame.
Yeah. I forgot. Well, you guys don't know us yet.
So, hi. And welcome to another Books and Booze episode. Cheers. All right. So Kevin made us this. It's got egg white. So what is it?
It's a flip.
It's a flip. My favorite. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Wait. So Kristen introduced me to flips, and flips is because it has egg white in it, and it's
It's creamy and
so good.
white. And I'm not really sure how I'm going to attempt this, but okay. He added some citrus notes in there, right? But it's still really light. Okay.
There's like vanilla in here too, or something, right?
I don't know that it's an official cocktail, like named. I'm not sure.
It's really
but citrusy, light, refreshing. I'm going to
Love
put
it.
my lime in there so I can drink it easily the rest of our podcast. It looks so pretty.
okay. It looks pretty. I'll leave mine there for decoration. I'll drink around it.
So Siesta Key spiced rum out of Siesta Key, Florida, which is along the Gulf Coast, and definitely a great little town. Yes, I think for a while it was ranked one of the top beaches in Florida, like year after year, on like travel and content.
Is it close to Clearwater?
It's probably another hour south because you get Tampa and then Clearwater.
Okay.
And then Bradenton, and then Sarasota, and Siesta Key is just off of Sarasota.
And that would make sense why it got nominated. Is that entire
It's
section.
so beautiful, right? And because it's Gulf water, it's calmer.
Yeah.
So, but the rum, delicious.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Really good.
Well,
Yeah.
I think being bourbon lovers, right, there are notes of this.
Yeah.
And I love that it's not such a sweet and like burn, certain spiced rums.
It's just overly sweet.
And then burn.
That is like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
This one in my throat. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Last week we tried it and just so delicious,
good.
right?
Yeah. You could just drink it with ice or just, out of a sniffner or a Courvoisier glass. It's so good.
Was so good. Yeah. But this is lovely. I like the little trap. And I liked our take on a Mai Tai last week, but I like with a flip, and I think he must have used some sort of citrus juice. So light and fluffy.
Yes. And this is not going to last.
I know. When you're like, how much can he have to make us drink so that it lasts for that whole month? Okay. So we are digging into your next 5 moves.
Yeah.
And last week we kind of recapped his story, which was amazing, right?
Amazing.
Talk about somebody coming from absolutely ground zero and building an empire. But that was his goal.
Yeah.
And what I really love, so the first chapter of his book is Master Knowing Yourself.
Yeah.
That's the first of his kind of power suggestions.
It is.
Right?
Know thyself. Right?
Know thy, but yeah. Well, he says master knowing yourself, but there's a famous quote that says know thyself. Absolutely. And he says whenever somebody comes to him for advice, he always asks them, well, what is it that you want to be? Where do you want to go? because somebody who wants to open a small mom and pop store,
it can, you know, they're going to have different aspirations than someone who's trying to
disrupt the industry.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're trying to be Elon Musk, you know, so
yeah,
they're going to have different wants and desires. And one of the things that I resonated with is when he said, know thyself is one of the hardest things you can do. Or, well, I'm sorry, the person you quoted, I forget, with Aristotle. I forget. I'm sorry. I didn't
add it to our hashtag so the correct quote goes to, please.
So, but
master knowing yourself.
Yeah. This person said that knowing thyself is the hardest thing to do. And I completely agree, because to know thyself is really just to look inward and say, hey, what is it that it kind of dives into like your self-confidence, right? You know, you always hear about, self-confidence, be confident, all that. Mm-hmm. But being confident is also knowing your gifts and talents and knowing thyself, right? Mm-hmm. Diving into what it is that you have to offer and being comfortable that no one else recognizes that you do.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
And that part was like, it impacted me. I was like, yeah. Yeah,
of course. The other thing I like, and one of the things I appreciated, even before we read this book, as we built Sage Consultants, we wanted to acknowledge that, you know, people who come to us for guidance and support, they want different things.
Yeah.
And yes, to launch a business successfully, there is a baseline that you must do, right? There are legal things you should do.
Yeah.
There are financial things you should do. There are branding things. Like that's a baseline.
Yeah.
But how far you want to go, how far you want to scale, what you want and your ultimate why.
Yeah.
Everybody's journey is completely different. And I love that he calls that out, because a lot of times he says literally a lot of coaches and influencers assume that everybody wants the same thing. So they're selling like these pre-made packages where, oh, you want to be a millionaire and travel the world? You know, it's not everybody wants that.
You know, one of the clients that we've helped, they're actually, they own a electricity, they're an electrician company. So they go around and they own an electrician company that fixes or wires houses, and they work at both the residential level and the commercial level. And one of the things when I first had my interview with them, you know, we were talking about different ways of optimizing your business, and I had to stop and say, you know, I really need to ask, have you guys thought about how big you want to grow? You know, because the real question isn't, you know, how much money you want to make. It's really about how big do you want to grow? What is the end goal? What is it that you want to achieve? And then once we did a little bit more digging, we come to find out they just really wanted to have more time and flexibility to spend with their grandchildren. They were recently new grandparents. They were hitting the age of retirement, and they didn't want to fully retire. They wanted to do a semi-retirement, but they wanted the freedom to travel and have the flexibility of visiting their grandchildren and having their children, come over and having family time. So, you know, mistake on me, I automatically assumed they wanted to have multiple trucks. They wanted to have multiple field teams. They wanted to work in the public sector for government contracts. And really it wasn't that, you know, so.
Well, I think that's what spawned us realizing we needed to make sure we met everybody at what their true ultimate end game goal is, right? And that was an important, and he even talks about a really good friend of his who came to him and was just like, what should I do?
Yep.
And when he really boiled down and asked his friend, all his friend wanted was to net about $150,000 a year and have enough free time to teach Little League or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so not everybody's goals are the yachts, the big houses, the world travel. Not everybody's goals are to launch what will be a chain, right? Or something that will be franchised. And that is completely okay.
There's nothing wrong with it. And actually what I love about it is in previous books that I've read, we talk about scarcity mindset. And a lot of times the scarcity mindset sets in is when you assume that everybody is after the same thing you're after. And so the scarcity mindset sets in because you feel like you're competing for the end goal, when really, in fact, you're not competing for it because that person probably doesn't even want what
the same thing that you
want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what I really have come to love about this entrepreneur family that we have with us, is because they come to the realization that they are not in competition with anybody else. The giving that happens and the support that happens is it sometimes makes me, emotional.
I think a lot of times in this, when you join the entrepreneurial ranks for a community, it really does become a support system, because there are challenges we all face that are similar. They're different, there are different issues and scenarios, but the essence is still the same, And so when you find that camaraderie, you're like, oh my God, this person's kind of going through the same thing as me.
That, or they accomplish something you're struggling in.
Yeah.
And they can give you guidance.
Yeah. It makes such a big difference. And it's just tribe. What is it? You say
attract your tribe.
Yeah. Attract your tribe.
Tribe attracts your tribe.
It is really big, because once you find that community, you find that support system, you thrive. If you try to accomplish this alone, you won't. And so like this guy who I really am proud of, the guy who, both Patrick with David and the guy who was coaching, first for the guy having the solace to come to him and ask him for, help.
Right.
And then for Patrick, just taking a moment to step back and say, well, maybe he's not wanting the same thing I'm wanting. Let me give him advice on something
he wants.
Yeah, exactly.
And that felt really good. When I read that moment, I so wanted to text you, but I know we wait for these because I love how we committed that we will listen to what, our entrepreneurs want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They want that little mama pop, or they just want to be a solopreneur and they just want their hobby to be successful and be a side income. Great.
Yeah.
But if you tell us you want to disrupt the industry,
we're here with you too, boy.
Absolutely. What I really liked was his journey coming out of the corporate grind. And this is what I could identify with.
Yeah.
Because my journey was like unsatiated, from every experience that I had along my corporate journey. Although I loved it, like I wanted something more every time. And so Patrick figured out, for a part-time job, he actually was really good at selling gym memberships. He figured out his lingo. He figured out how to connect to customers.
Yeah.
And he found he could make really good money selling, I guess it was Bally's at the time.
Yeah.
So he was working up the ranks, and his ultimate goal, I guess there was this, what it was called, a weekend manager or something like that. He basically would only work a few days a week.
Okay.
But it was at the prestigious Hollywood location.
Okay.
And it would be great money, fewer hours or something. And there was like this coveted location, coveted
I
role.
remember that. This book, I must have just glossed right over this.
But
I'm listening now.
But there was somebody else kind of in the running who had been with the company longer. And his boss says to him, you know what? I want you to take this suburb location, basically. I don't know which one it is. And Patrick's like, I really don't want to do that. But he's like, we need to see you turn it around, and then we can talk about this.
Oh, okay. Yes. Now I remember.
Right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And so he agrees to do it. And within like 3 or 4 months, he turns it around. So talk about power of a leader, first of all.
And I actually thought about you when I was reading this. I thought about you. I was like, it's my girlfriend.
So he turned it around quickly. And you know what? I experienced that, because I have customer first thinking and people first thinking.
Yeah.
It is easy to turn businesses around when you correct the lens, right?
Yeah.
And it's about money, you choke and you fail. But when it's about the people's experience and the relationships and developing that, there's success. So something in what he did, he unlocked success at the suburb location.
Yeah.
He crushed it. He came back to his boss, and he said he could tell something was wrong when he walked into the office.
You can always feel it.
I've had those.
You can feel it. Like your spidey senses go off, and you're like,
you know what? I truly believe that the universe or God or the great whatever gives you what you truly want. And he may not have been able to articulate it at this point, but I'll tell you his story, then I'll wrap up what the universe gives you when you want you to feel right. His boss said, you know what? We really want you to take it on another 6 months. And he's like, well, what about this position? And he's like, we already filled it. And he felt that was the ultimate slap in the face. So he quit on the spot and went home pissed, angry. And that was one of his why factors. I know the last episode we addressed that. He wanted he wanted to build himself a company where people stood by what they, integrity, basically. He felt like that move was not integrity. But between situations for myself, situations for my husband, it's really hard when you think you want something and you don't get it. Yeah. That's a really tough pill to swallow. But
a lot of people in any position, right?
It is. But when you realize the universe gives you what you really want, what if Patrick had gotten that weekend manager role?
He wouldn't be writing the book. He wouldn't be writing
100%.
That resonated with me completely too, because there's been multiple times and in current situations too. And you just go and you ask, why am I not getting exactly what I'm asking for? I'm ready. But you know what? Higher being, higher
it's
power.
Not what you're really asking for.
Because if I go and I reflect back on my past and others that I've heard about, you were really not ready because there were certain lessons, right? And experiences that needed to be had in order for you to perform the way you perform now. And so had you been given everything you wanted at that point in your life, you would not be performing in the optimal position you are, an optimal performance that you are at this current time. And so that's one of the things that I love about what he articulated there. Like you said, he doesn't know if it, well, he knows, he's really astute, but had he been given everything he wanted now, he wouldn't be where he is. And with that, he would not be able to lead his current team as effectively as he's leading them now.
That's the main thing, right? And it's hard, now I'm a manager decades in.
Yeah.
And I get this, especially these Gen Zers, right? They spend like 6 to 8 months in a role and they think they're ready for like a 2-role jump.
Yeah.
And I'm working on learning how to address that with them, because there is something about time and experience and building up how to interact with people, right? The passion might be there, but there's something about learning yourself.
Yes. But you know what? I'm not even going to say it's Gen Z. I did it.
What? I did it.
I thought I was, I really wasn't, but I thought I was ready. I was ready to, they had me working at basic level -2. And I'm like, no, I need to be CEO of that company tomorrow because y'all fools are running it wrong.
I love that. But it's true. We get to be legends in our own mind.
Yeah.
Legends in our own mind, right?
I dare say that's all that counts.
It is. But when you really boil down, what is it that you want? And Patrick talks about his transition period where he had to cool off from that.
Yeah.
And he literally had to think, all right, what do I really want?
Yeah.
And he said he wanted his name to mean something. He wanted to work with people who kept commitments, right? His boss didn't, right? He wanted a formula to know how to get the top base results, which he was building when he went to the other gym, right? He had to, wow, I delivered top results. How did I get there? It's when you can begin to quantify results that you really unlock your success. He wanted to be surrounded by a team with a shared vision.
Yeah.
Right. And he wanted to make enough money that he did not need to be controlled by others.
Yeah. It took about 4 of those boxes.
Oh, yeah, totally. Totally.
I think everyone at one point, when you just throw in the towel with your corporate job, you tick most of those. I didn't maybe have the one about making my last name, I get
something.
I guess so. As far as legacy and family, I guess that kind of goes hand in hand. But I resonate with a lot, the other ones that you mentioned in there.
And he acknowledges that low points can really be that turnaround for you.
Oh, well, and he mentioned grit.
Yep. Yeah.
The low point.
My favorite word.
I said it. One of those low points. The lowest point you can imagine is where you build the most character. It's like what they say, pressure creates diamonds. It really does.
And oysters, right?
Really?
A little sand trapped in the little
oyster pearls.
That's what I meant. What did I say?
I said diamonds, but we can go with pearls.
But diamonds are the best example.
Yeah,
right.
But she is right about the pearls, though. Pressure and oh man, they're so pretty.
They're pretty. So then he talks about really discovering the role that suits you best.
Yeah.
Right? Because once you have this awakening and you realize you have hit rock bottom, you are up against that wall.
Yeah.
What role truly is best for you? And he goes through, he kind of almost makes a diagram where it's split into quads in a way. But basically, some of us want to be entrepreneurs. And we know we want to go through that visionary. We want to create something. We probably even want to disrupt something. Maybe not the industry, but maybe disrupt our family lineage.
Yeah.
Right?
Like our paradigm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he says entrepreneur. And then he says, some of you want to be inventors. You want to create something and then give it to someone that can make it flourish.
Yeah.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
And then this one, entrepreneur.
It was the first time I heard this. It was the first time I heard what an entrepreneur is. So an entrepreneur is something similar as an entrepreneur in the essence that they themselves are eager to do business, then themselves may want to disrupt the market. However, instead of them being the visionary as far as coming up with the ideas
or wanting to take those risks,
or wanting to take those risks, I dare say an entrepreneur can also be a visionary. But I think there's more when I look at an entrepreneur, right? And entrepreneur comes from, so the etymology of entrepreneur is coming from entre, which means enterprise, right? And then preneur, which means adventurer. It's the French saying. And so when you put the two together, if you really think about it, you're an enterprise adventurer, right? Adventurer is a risk taker. And an adventurer means that you are going down journeys that no other person has gone on, or very few have gone on,
or that you're prepared to. Like
you're prepared, you're not experienced.
Good luck,
and you're willing to go down this unknown path, right, uncharted path, and take these risks, right. And so that is an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur, according to Patrick, is someone who could be a visionary, however, maybe not know how to execute it, or maybe they're a little leery about the risk associated with it, but they are a great support system to the entrepreneur. And the support system could be COO, right? CFO. It could be co-CEO in a way. It could be all of the C-suite personnel, but it could be even more than that. Maybe it could just be a confidant. You know, what did he call him? He calls him oh my goodness, I just said the word the other day too. Anyway, but an entrepreneur, as you can see, I'm rambling here. It really had something, it really impacted me, because I think at one point in time in your journey as a business owner, at one point you start as an entrepreneur. You can carry forward, right? But I think there is a point that I think all of us reach the point of intrapreneur, which is we're looking to support the vision. And it hit me because I said, man, it had me questioning a little bit, like, where is my current role? Have I evolved into maybe more of an entrepreneurial role? Or am I still the entrepreneur with the vision set, right? And then acknowledging that it's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because he gives the example, I think it was Steve Jobs, right?
Yeah. Oh, Steve Jobs. So Steve Jobs was
started out as the entrepreneur.
Yeah. He started out as the entrepreneur. Then he was actually ousted by his own board members of all. He was ousted. Then he went and he created Next, right?
Pixar and something
else.
And
Pixar Next. And then what ended up happening is, well,
they brought him back.
Pixar did okay. Disney bought him out. Next, yeah. And then they Apple suffered. They really did suffer because the vision, like his vision, was out. And they went and they brought him back on,
but in a customer-focused role.
Yeah, which is an entrepreneur. Even though he was
or how they brought him in.
Yeah. Even though he was CEO, he was on stage. He was sitting there talking to everyone. He was the face of the company. He was an entrepreneur. And when Patrick said it, I was like mind blown because you would think entrepreneur. But when you really did break down what Steve Jobs did at Apple, he was an entrepreneur. And there's nothing wrong with it.
Right. And I think that's something, as those of you interested in launching your own business, I think this is a really great time. Like, master knowing yourself. Yeah. So are you ready to take on the stresses and pressures of an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Or is your vision better served as, do you need to find the right company, the right entrepreneur that you help them launch their vision carry out their vision, have the same dedication of launching the vision, but there are certain aspects of running and owning a company that you just don't want on your shoulders.
Yeah. And as an entrepreneur, if you're supporting an entrepreneur, most of your values, right, if not all your values, are going to be aligned with that entrepreneur.
Right.
You know, you will be their support system, not only, you know, professionally, but probably personally as well, because it's just such an alignment there. And so they typically are your right hand.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that was such a powerful
It was.
chapter.
It was. You saw what I went on. It was really powerful for me.
And then he lists some of the other possible, you know, knowing yourself. You know, should you be the CEO? Should you be in sales only? Right? Are you just, when you can get if you are amazing at sales, what is it, Earl Nightingale? There are so many people who say sales is the highest paid profession in the world. The sky's the limit, we're told, which is so true. So if that's really where your passion is, if you just want to build relationships with customers and solve their problems, then you need to work for a company who has something you believe in, and you just find the customers for it. Again, not having the pressures of an entrepreneur or even a CEO.
Yeah.
Right? That it takes this special person for it. And I think this is such a great book to dig into it. What were the other ones? Influencer.
An influencer, yeah.
Again, a lot of influencers who think they're entrepreneurs, right?
And you know, it's okay. So when I was a waitress, one of the things I sat there and thought, I was like, man, I could sell anything to anyone. I could sell ice to Eskimos, you know, Eskimos. I could sell ice to Eskimos. I thought I was just absolutely wonderful and stuff like that. I know, right? But then the first time I tried to open up my business, so then it came a reality check saying you can't just sell. It's not just about selling. There's so much more
you have to do, right? Yeah, absolutely. And what I found is those who want to be influencers and have their own business, I think affiliate marketing has opened a pathway for them a little bit on that. Yeah. Because it's a little more structured. But then in reality, they are entrepreneurs. They're taking something that they align with in their vision.
Yeah.
So it really, I think the epitome is the right role for you, entrepreneur or entrepreneur.
And that goes into know thyself. And I want to underline this, this point. Knowing thyself, knowing exactly what it is that your strengths are
and that you're right for and that you want.
Yeah.
What do you want?
What your strengths are. What do you want? What are your weaknesses? Acknowledging your weaknesses and being okay with them, because part of the battle of becoming an entrepreneur is you really think you can do it all and you can't, right? And I say that. I'm not trying to put you down, but I'm being absolutely 100%, okay? None of us is in the divergent role where we all are in all four factions, okay? We do not have everything figured out. We do have weaknesses. And so once you acknowledge your weaknesses, know thyself, you will be able to partner up with someone who has those as strengths. And now that can be if you're the entrepreneur, knowing thyself, knowing your weaknesses, pair up with your entrepreneur who can support you in that avenue, where you need help, and you guys can cohesively work together to build your empire.
Yeah.
But it starts with knowing yourself and acknowledging it.
It totally does. And we talk to our clients about building an organizational chart.
Yeah.
And we talk about, okay, even if there's two people going into a business together, there's usually someone who is truly the CEO.
The CEO.
And even though everything is equal, pay is equal, everything, there is somebody that in the end, that was really their vision. They're going to take the brunt of the pressure, the figuring things out.
Yep.
And then you can divvy up equally who does what. But in the end, you cannot have two CEOs.
Yeah, that co-CEO thing, I've seen it.
In the end, when you can't just, businesses say they're going to flip a coin to decide on decisions and stuff like that.
And that's okay. And we've read about a couple of people that do that. You flip a coin, and not saying that's not one way to do it, but there is someone that has to take that role of CEO and understand, and then the person who takes that role understands that ultimately the decision is theirs. So, and they hold that responsibility. It's a big responsibility because as CEO, you're responsible for all the good and the bad. And then as it trickles down, right, you're responsible for your family, your team, your employees, and your customers. Every decision you make has a triple 5 steps. No, next 5 moves. What decision are you going to make that's going to affect that, right?
So what I really like that he digs into then, I mean, we already talked about his friend who came to him for help, and his friend's goal was to just make $150,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
So he kind of wraps up this chapter in really understanding there's 4 different levels of your why.
Yeah.
He even references the why.
He does. But I like how he had 4 different levels. That was another verse that I heard.
Yeah. And he realized that some people, their ultimate goal is just to be responsible and pay their bills.
Yep.
Right. And chances are those people are the ones that are content to work for an amazing company that aligns with their, right? We don't want to say we just want to go to work every day. It feels better when we go to work aligned with what our essence wants.
Yeah.
Sure. But
Yeah. Okay.
their ultimate goal in life is just to make sure they pay their bills and that. Yeah. And then there are people who then their level of why is a status level, right? So they want to have those nice cars. They want to have the nice house.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's a great goal too.
Yeah.
That's what motivates you.
Yeah.
And then the third why is freedom, right? They want financial freedom. They want work freedom. And again, nothing wrong with this.
Yeah.
Then that's a great goal as well. Maybe they want to retire their spouse. Maybe they want to take care of aged loved ones, right? Not have to put them in a home.
Yeah.
So different people have different levels of motivation. Yes. I believe that's Nola,
Not sure.
right? Nola's bark is a little deeper, right? And then he says there's a 4th level of why, and that is someone who has really designated their purpose.
So I dare say, I listened to his 4 whys. I actually think that's just a journey. That's my take on it. I'm not, where I read these books doesn't mean I have to agree with everything that's said on there, but what I heard was actually a journey. In my experience, most entrepreneurs start out just trying to subsidize, right, their income or replace their income, right? And then once they achieve that goal unlocked, they then move into...
It's like a video game.
Next level. They then move into keeping up with the Joneses because now they want to go on the vacations. They want to have the fancy parties. They want to have the fancy cars. They work so hard for it, right? Mm-hmm. Well, once they do that, again, level unlock,
level up.
Then they start saying, okay, I already have the cars, the vacation, the things, the that, but what it's not buying me is time, and it's not buying me freedom of choice. It's not buying me time with my family. So that becomes the next level they want to unlock. And then once they have time with their family, they're doing this. Now they really start diving into what is their greater purpose.
Yeah.
They're here. They've achieved all of this. Now what can we do? Let's give back.
Well, and I think we touched on this in Think and Grow Rich, where there was that gentleman who was so wealthy and he just felt unsatiated.
Yep.
And it wasn't until he started, getting wheelchairs to
do. He started flying wheelchairs to Africa.
Right.
And he felt fulfilled.
Yes. And so his level 4 is purpose, right? Yeah. How to be remembered and how to make an impact on others.
Yeah. And I dare say Patrick did it too. Think about it, Patrick. You went through the 4 levels yourself. You first went on this journey to replace your income, if not make more, because your father and all the other stories you talked about. Then you went and keeping up with the Joneses. You went and got your big house, your yachts, your private jets and all that. Now you did that. Okay. Now you went into let me buy back some of my time. You spend 15 minutes alone with your kids every day to make sure you're connecting with them. You have your date nights with your wife to make sure you guys are still connected as a union. You are sitting there connecting with friends and family that are close to you. So you went and bought back your time. You achieved all of those. Now what are you doing? You're creating books. You're having podcasts. You're giving advice. You found your greater purpose.
It's so true. It is a journey. Yeah. And some people realize at the beginning of their journey that their ultimate goal is to give to others. And some just I just want to pay my bills.
Yeah.
I'm about to get evicted from my apartment and I just don't want this anymore. Right. And all they can see is 2 steps in front of them.
Yeah. That's tunnel vision.
Yeah. Good take on that, my friend. And with that, we are out of good booze.
We are. We're almost out.
So with that, we will wrap up this chapter. Okay. And we'll dig in more next week. But wow.
It was really good.
Powerful, right? So good. So guys, we are working on building this, our tribe, if you will. So Anna, I hope you love her. Join our tribe. So please like and subscribe. That helps us out. It helps us know what it is you like, what you're looking for. And what do we say? Grab a good book, grab some good refill your booze, and get a good buddy to share with. Cheers, guys. See you next week. Bye.
Well, all I got is fluff.
It's all fluff.
Go get
Good
Rico.
fluff, right?